80s hair in full effect today. Where's my tea? Found it. This morning is an Irish afternoon black tea with honey and a splash of milk. I'm officially on 1 month of no coffee. I'm still going strong. I think even over a month maybe. And it was so funny because my husband looked at me the other day and he goes, quick question, why are you doing that? And I had to look at him and be like, I don't know. I just am. I don't know. Once something gets in my brain, I am in it. Like I am dedicated. And that is what got in my brain, that I just was drinking too much coffee. And instead of just cutting back like a normal person, I was like, I'll just not drink it anymore. That's the way my brain works. And once I've started something, I'm in it now. And that's not to say that I might not like grab a coffee one day if the mood strikes me, but I was drinking like a lot of coffee. And then I was wondering why I wasn't sleeping right. So if you have sleep issues and you are drinking a ton of caffeine, maybe try cutting out the caffeine. What a crazy concept. Hey guys, we are back with another one. I'm super excited for this video today because it's something that I've wanted to do for a really long time and I've just never been able to work it into our filming schedule. And that is reading the books that you guys have so graciously sent to me. All of you are so fantastic and so generous and so kind. And every single time I get a package in the mail from Amazon, I just know that one of you thought of me and it just means so much to me. But almost more importantly than that, it's another way for us to interact and make our channel and our book club a little bit more personalized. Sometimes when you're a part of community, but it's a community that is primarily behind the screen and through a computer, it becomes very impersonal. And I never want our channel to feel that way. And one of the ways that we do that is not only by having our book club on Fable, which is, if you don't know, it's the Homey and Homely book club. It's completely free. It's always linked in the description down below. There's like 420 amazing members and we just read a book together and discuss it chapter by chapter every single month. But another way that we do that is also by doing what I call our book exchange. So if you look in the description down below as well, my Amazon wish list is always linked there. It's just a wish list that I throw a couple of books that I'm interested in on when I think of it or when I see it. And when I get a package from that wish list, make sure that you write something in the message box, the gift message box, because I will be sure to message you on Instagram and ask for you to send me your link back and I will send you a book. So it's just a way for us to do almost like a little like Secret Santa of books or like gift exchange of books. And it's personal. I write a personal message to you, you write a personal message to me, and it keeps us from feeling like we're behind the screen friends. And I hope more like we're sending each other gifts friends and write each other mail friends and stuff like that. So it's something that's probably one of my favorite things that I've started doing since I started this channel, because I was really, when I started this channel, searching for a community of like-minded people to discuss things with. And you either have a ton of friends that read or you don't. And for me, I have like a couple of friends that read, not quite to the extent that I do, not quite to the passion that I have, but not many that I can like discuss on a weekly basis what we're reading. And since I started my channel, you guys have become that community. And I love when we get to interact on a more personal level. So when you guys send me a book, I always keep the little gift notes inside the book so that I always remember where it came from and I could go back and read your messages when I read the book. And one thing that I've always wanted to do throughout like filming challenges, filming TBRs, is doing an entire video dedicated to how generous my subscribers have been and how many books we've exchanged back and forth. So this week, not only am I going to read only books that subscribers have sent to me, but I'm going to read your notes out loud. And I'm also going to do a 24-hour challenge to see how many books that you guys sent to me I can read in a total of 24 hours. Longest explanation ever for the simplest concept. I'm going to read books that were gifted to me for 24 hours. What if that was just the intro? Not me rambling for 20 minutes. So I actually already know the book I'm going to start with this week, and that is because the fabulous Cheyenne, who is such a sweetheart, we message almost all day long, every single day, back and forth, and I happen to know that she also bought this book for herself, and I want to read it alongside her, and that book is Kiss of the Basilisk by Lindsay. That is a really hard title to say. Kiss of the Basilisk by Lindsay Straub. This was originally published under Split or Swallow. I think the publishers said, hey, Lindsay, it must be a Lindsay, unhinged Lindsay thing, because I would do the same thing. But I think the publishers said like, hey, Lindsay, Split or Swallow is going to be a hard one to sell to traditional publishers. So she changed it to Kiss of the Basilisk, and now it's the Split or Swallow series. So she worked it in there still. This book I don't know too much about, but I know that it's a basilisk monster, like erotica romance. And I have seen amazing things about it recently when people are reading it. And actually I was messaging back and forth with another person when I put this up on my Instagram that this is going to be the book I was starting, and they actually said it so well. I got a couple of messages of people saying not only is the erotica and the spice really good, but Lindsay Straub somehow manages to also work like a killer plot in there too. And that is what I like. Sometimes I don't mind books that are just pure erotica, right? But I do need like a modicum of a plot, you know? And from what I'm hearing, that is this book. Mainly erotica, but with the plot that goes alongside it. That's worth it as well. So it says, Tem couldn't imagine a stranger duo, the formidable basilisk and the human prince, both powerful in their own right, but they couldn't be more different from each other. I'm excited. So like I said, this book came from Cheyenne. She is so generous. This girl has sent me like, we've sent back and forth probably like 5 or 6 books. I don't know. Cheyenne, comment below and correct me because I've lost track. But one thing I love about Cheyenne is that she and I have similar, completely unhinged reading styles. Like we will read anything and I never feel judged by her because if I've read something super unhinged and ridiculous, Cheyenne has either probably already read it or she has it on her want to read list. So I'm super excited to get into this. I've been wanting to get into Kiss of the Basilisk, Split or Swallow since the days before it was retitled. So let's go ahead and start this as book number 1. I have to grab my phone and find my 24-hour timer. I forgot to read you the note that came with it. So like I said, I always keep the note inside this book, and it said, heard this is so good and purchasing for myself, even more buddy reads, haha. So we are going to start off with a bang and buddy read this one. Start with a bang, pun intended, pun intended. Okay, so setting my timer for 24 hours. I don't know why Apple does this, but you actually have to do 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. So starting in 3, 2, 1, we are officially off and running.
Beneath the stars, beneath the skies, in darkest darkness, so brightest light, I'm calling out for you. I'm calling out for you.
Okay, so I have been reading for about an hour and a half, an hour and 33 minutes. And this book is unhinged in all of the best way possible. This book is exactly what I need right now. And I have read 117 pages in 93 minutes. And I typically average between like 50 and 60 pages an hour. So I am flying through this book. It reads so easily and I am so engaged in this story. So 115 pages in, here's what I've grasped of the concept. This is about our main female character, Temperance. They call her Tem. And she lives in a town that had a deadly war with basilisks decades, if not like, millennium ago. I have no idea how long, centuries ago. And that during the war, the town learned that the basilisks can't look in their own reflection, so now they have a wall surrounding the town that has mirrors on it so the basilisks don't come. They won the war by using mirrors on their shields, like affixed to their shields, and then after they won, they made a peace agreement with the basilisks that in exchange for peace and the people not coming and killing the basilisks anymore, the basilisks they found were masters of seduction, and the basilisks from there on out would train their young, like virginal girls in the art of lovemaking so that they might seduce the princes and the kings in the future. So it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship now. You don't get killed, but you train our girls. This is total smut. So if you don't want to hear about smutty things, like fast forward, I don't know. And we follow our main female character, Tem, who is now at an age where she is potentially eligible to be one of the new prince's suitors. So she is going through this training with the basilisk to prepare herself to please the prince, potentially. And here's the thing, if you're not specifically the girl who's chosen to marry and be with the prince, if you do a good job and if you do well in your training, you could be eligible to be given to somebody of like higher stature, like a noble or a lord or things like that. So you want to do well in your training and you want to catch the eye of like a noble person and kind of know what you're doing, if you catch my drift. It's unhinged. Some of the stuff that has already happened inside the caves with the basilisk is interesting. Let's say it's interesting. If you are not a smut reader, do not read this. It will not be for you. You will not care for this, but I care for it. I'm liking it, and I read 115 pages in an hour and a half because I am like sucked in. I am glued, like my eyes to this Kindle, glued, obsessed. This book is like probably like 450, 500 pages, so it's way too early to tell, but right now, we're at like a 4.5 stars so far. That's crazy. So now books fall apart at the end for me. So let's see how the middle slog, if it slogs out or if the end is unsatisfying, but I'm going to start my timer again. I'm going to keep reading. I have about an hour left of quiet in the house. So hopefully I can fly through another 100 pages if I'm reading really fast and see how it goes.
Within the storm, within the fire, when I feel hopeless, you're by my side. So I'm calling out for you. I'm calling out for you. When all my plans start to come undone and there's no one there to see me through.
One last thing, I'm on page 129. I think I'm like 28% of the way through the book. And at this point now, we have met two main male characters. One is the basilisk Caspin that she's training with, and the other is the prince. His name is Thelonious, but he goes by Theo. So we have the basilisk Caspin and the prince Theo. And at this point as the reader, I think you're like trying to determine who you're rooting for. You know what I'm saying? And I like them both for different reasons. And right now I think I'm leaning Caspin because Leo, the prince, is just a little entitled. Like he was kind of raised in the palace, getting whatever he wants. You can tell that he's not used to being told no, but there's something very charming about him. I don't know. You're in this position as the reader where like you're trying to sort out exactly which of the main male characters you like better. And right now I'm a little on the fence because I also don't think I see that much of a like future for Tem if she were to choose Caspin. So you're kind of on the fence, but I like both of the main male characters. So I'm intrigued to see how that develops as the story goes on. Okay, back to reading. We're starting my timer again.
When all my strength has been overcome and there's nothing left for me to do but tell the truth, I'm calling out for you. forgotten you remember me.
This is a lot. It's a lot. But why is it so good? Why? Why is this changing my entire world right now? Why can I not stop reading this? Lindsay Straub, what did you put in this book? Wow. Okay. We have a bunch to discuss. So it is the next day, and I read for about, what, 6 hours and 20 minutes last night. We still have, I don't know if you can see that, but 17 hours, 39 minutes and 9 seconds still on the clock. And I'm about 60-ish% of the way through Kiss of the Basilisk. So I am on chapter 23, page 272 in this version. I know it's so funny because I think this version has like 515 pages, but my Kindle version, which is still Split or Swallow because I've had it for a while, has like 760 pages. So I don't know if they took stuff out of the traditionally published version, or, I mean, the text on this is really teeny tiny, so maybe they just made the text smaller. I'm not sure why, but in the traditionally published version, I'm like 275 pages through, somewhere in that arena, about 60% of the way through, and this book is doing things to me. It is so good. It's unhinged, and it's another book that I'm judging myself for liking as much as I am. I seriously am like questioning my sanity, but it's so good. And it's so funny because the one thing that's really blowing my mind about this book is this is absolutely monster erotica. I mean, the entire premise of the book is sex-based. That's just what this book is, right? It's definitely erotica and about exploring sexuality and things like that. However, one thing that erotica sometimes loses for me is that it's so physically focused that you lose plot or you lose character work or there's no world building, and that's okay because that's what it's meant to do. However, this book somehow balances all of those elements perfectly. Whoa, abrupt location change. Sorry, my son had to come to the park to meet his friend. So he interrupted me while I was filming and asked if I could do a location change. So that is what we did. But to finish out my thoughts, this book is doing such a great job of incorporating erotica elements with world building, excellent character development, great banter, great plot, and it's not losing the plot for a gratuitous amount of spice, if that makes sense. Now there's a ton of, this book is mostly spice. And the whole centralized plot line is spice and spicy time. So it is erotica. However, I'm remaining impressed by how much I'm emotionally connected to the characters, how much I care about what's happening to them, how cool the world is. Like, I love the description of Temperance, our main female character. I love the description of like her cottage home, and then she goes to the caves to visit the basilisk, and then she goes to the castle to visit Prince Leo, and like, I love the world. It is so rare that you find an erotica book where you care about the world and the characters, because normally it's just, that's not the goal. That's not any shade to the erotica genre. It's just not what the books are written to do, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm formulating these thoughts correctly because there's a lot going on, but my point is there is something special about this book if you are a spicy, smutty reader like I am, but also if you're looking for a book that gives you what you want smut-wise, but also what you want plot-wise and character-wise and world-wise. There's something potentially very special about this book, 60% of the way in. But, the biggest but ever. If you are not a smutty, extreme spice reader, do not go into this book. This is my public service announcement to you. If you cannot handle multiple different forms of smut, taboo smut, a little bit of non-consensual-ish smut, or like not necessarily non-consensual, but like vague consent smut, monster smut, like interspecies smut. If you cannot handle that stuff, don't jump in the deep end. You know what I'm saying? This might not be for you, but if you are a smut lover, I'm telling you 60% of the way in, this book might be onto something. So those are my thoughts. Sorry for the abrupt location change. However, I'm going to read a little bit right now. I'm going to put on my ambiance. I have my boys playing basketball for a little while, so I'm going to sit here in my car and try to knock off like another hour off our timer. So I haven't gotten as much reading done yet as I want to today, and it's already like 4 o'clock and we have a ton of stuff to do tonight. I've just been completely and totally swamped, so I'm going to try to get some reading done, and I will get back to you in a little bit. It's so good. It's like warms the soul, you know. I'm happy to report I'm still holding strong on my no coffee thing. I don't know why I'm doing it. I just am. I think it's been like over a month now. But today's tea is a Irish breakfast tea with honey and milk. All of my teas kind of are honey and milk, I think. That's my go-to. I just put in a little bit of honey, put in some milk to like make it a little creamier, but also to cool it down a little quicker. That's just the way I take my tea. I'm happy to report that I did finish Kiss of the Basilisk yesterday. And I'm judging myself by how much I love this book. I'm giving this a 4.25 stars, and everything I said before holds strong. Somehow this was erotica that had amazing world building, great character development, and a plot. How? I don't know. We're going to have to ask Lindsay. Not this Lindsay, that Lindsay. I love the way the book wrapped up. Things more or less made sense. I think I got a little fuzzy on the details at the end, but you don't think too hard about this. And at the end, there was an epilogue, and then there was an alternate scene. So not like an alternate ending. It was just a random scene, like a pivotal scene from inside the book. And she was just like, hey, I drank 9 glasses of wine on a flight and rewrote the scene. And it was really funny. I do prefer the way that scene played out for anyone who's read this in the actual book, but the alternate scene was funny to read. However, we're going to have a little come to Jesus on this one, just like we do with Ruby Dixon and Ice Planet Barbarians, okay? Because I went to Goodreads and I rated this, right? And I just kind of, curiosity got the cat, and I just kind of like scrolled through the other ratings on Goodreads, and you have no idea how many like 1 and 2 star reviews there were about this being too spicy, or about, oh, she's doing it with a basilisk. It's like, yeah, did you go into this having no clue? Like, did you do no research? It's a monster erotica. Like, that's what this is. And this I'm going to equate to my views on Ice Planet Barbarians, which if you've been around on this channel, you've heard, but if you're new here, you haven't heard. I love Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon, and it frustrates me when people criticize books either not knowing like the tropes and the genre it is that they're going into, and then they criticize the book that was fully advertised correctly, and it was like their ignorance that they didn't like. Like, don't read Ice Planet Barbarians and then criticize it for being an alien smut. It's like, well, that's what it's advertised as being. Just because you didn't know that and you jumped into a book, don't criticize it. Like, it's giving exactly what it told you it was going to give. And that's how I feel about some of the bad reviews for this book. They were like, it's stupid, it's unbelievable, it's, the smut was cringy because it's with a basilisk. It's like, guys, it says that on the cover. If you did like a modicum of research, you would know that. I just don't feel free to criticize a book. I could criticize this book. Like, there were some dialogue and plot holes, right? Okay. So I could criticize a book. This is not a perfect book. However, it's not a fair criticism when you're doing those things. Like, it's not, in my opinion, just personally speaking, those critiques like lose credibility for me because it's a stupid critique. It's stupid. Like, if you go into this book with the right expectations, doing literally like a smidge of research, like, don't buy this book if you don't want monster erotica and then criticize it for being monster erotica. You know what I'm saying? So rant over, but it was good. I enjoyed it, but I am a monster erotica reader, so it didn't bother me. However, if you are either not a super spicy lover or not a monster smut lover, like, keep your expectations in check. This isn't the book for you, and that's okay. There's a quadrillion other books out there for you to read. This is probably not going to be the one. But I am so lucky that my girlie Cheyenne knows me so well that she knew this was going to be the one and sent it to me. So thank you, Cheyenne, once again. So let's check in on our time. So obviously I started this at 23 hours, 59 minutes and 59 seconds. And here is what the clock was at last night when I stopped this. So it took me about 12 hours to read, like 12 hours and 3 minutes. And that kind of checks out because 12 hours is 720 minutes. And the Kindle version of this, because I read it as Split or Swallow on my Kindle, I had purchased it when it was that before it was traditionally published, is 720 pages, which means I average it out to 60 pages an hour, which is exactly exactly what I usually do. So even though I kind of hit the ground running and I had like a really quick start, I evened out at the end and I ended up reading my average, which is 60 pages an hour. So 12 hours down, 12 hours to go, and a full book completed. The question now is, where do I go after a book like this? I actually know where I want to go. I need to switch a genre a little bit, right? Like I've read a lot of fantasy recently. That was a lot. Like I need a little switch, a palate cleanser, if you will, before I jump into my next one. So I'm going to do the rom-commers by Catherine Center. I have read The Bodyguard by Catherine Center and Hello Stranger by her, and I've really, really liked them, which is funny because these are kind of like fluffy, sweet romances. Not quite Sarah Adams closed door fluffy, sweet. Like these are a little bit more adult, but just fluffy, sweet, cute, quick reading romances. And I think I need that after Kiss of the Basilisk. So I'm going to go in with this one. And this was a gift from the amazing, the sweet Amanda from Amanda's Booktopia. I will link her down below. She also has a YouTube channel and she is so sweet. Her content is so cute. She is a voracious reader. I think she reads more than I do. I don't know. Amanda, correct me in the comments down below, but I'm pretty sure you read more than I do. And she sent me this gorgeous hardcover edition with the pink sprayed edges. And I was actually flipping through it. Look at how pretty those end papers are. It's just such a pretty, pretty edition. So grateful. Thank you so much. And I am so excited because I own The Bodyguard and Hello Stranger in the hardcover editions, so they will all match. And she actually sent this to me as an early birthday gift, which I'm so thankful for because my birthday is April 30th at the end of this month, which I talked about in my TBR video. And she sent this to me with a little note that says, "Happy early birthday from Amanda." That's so sweet. And she actually did the gift packaging. So it came, I posted it on my Instagram stories, but it came in like these really cute blue Amazon boxes with like a little sweet gift or a sweet surprise for you. And it was so, when you guys send me packages, it just makes my whole heart soar because it's so kind. I'm so thankful that you're thinking of me. So a little early birthday gift from Amanda, and I can't wait to read it.
I was quietly protective of my heart to reassure that I couldn't break to pieces and be left alone once more. If you hadn't been so patient, you'd be easy to ignore. You put up with all my bullshit till you didn't anymore. And now I stand here calling at your door. Oh, now I stand here calling at your door. Yeah, I'm yours anywhere you want. Yeah, I'm yours. And now we're singing.
So really quickly, I'm noticing kind of like a pattern in Catherine Center's writing, because if you've read Hello Stranger by her, the main female character has face blindness, which, don't quote me, but it's like propopagnosia, I believe. And there's like a note at the end that tells you more about the condition from a more medical term. And in this one, our main female character is a screenplay writer or a screenplay adapter, and she's currently living at home taking care of her father. Her father is 55 and he suffered from a camping accident, and it says that he has a traumatic brain injury which left him partially paralyzed on one side, a condition called hemiplegia, and he also suffers from an inner ear issue that profoundly messes up his balance called Meniere's disease. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a note in the back. It doesn't look like there is, but I like that Catherine Center writes about real life conditions, diseases, disorders, and she writes about them in a very genuine way. I think she handles them with a lot of care. So I'm noticing that about her writing. So back to reading.
I have made a lot of mistakes. I have been too self-involved, been protective of my feelings, but somehow you made me fall. You got underneath the surface and you shattered every wall, and I know I got that feeling. There's no question anymore.
Back again. Okay, so another thing I appreciate about Catherine Center's writing is that it's funny, but it's written in a non-cringy way. So basically, like I said, our female main character is a screenwriter. So her agent calls her and basically tells her he wants her to take a look at this screenplay, at this screenwriting. that was done by Charlie Yates, who's a writer of like sci-fi, dystopian, fantasy, like even like some horror works, and he is like our main female character's gold standard writer. He is her hero, he is her idol, he's her favorite writer. So she's freaking out, being like, you want me to look at something that was written by the Charlie Yates, like my Charlie Yates? And her agent goes, yeah, but listen, he tried to write a rom-com and it's horrible, and I need you to rewrite it. Like, I need your help on this. So he sends it over to her, and listen to what he said. And Charlie Yates, my beloved Charlie Yates, my gold standard, my writer by which all the writers are judged, my absolute all-time screenwriting hero, he mutilated it, he besmirched it, he desecrated it. The thing he did, I don't even want to say wrote. It had no spark, no build, no banter, no joy, and no scenes that even resembled the original movie. The title was the same and the characters were the same, but that was it. Was he asleep when he wrote this? Was he in the middle of dental surgery? How could someone so good and so masterful at writing, someone who can make you root for serial killers and believe in ghosts and genuinely like cannibal robots, take something that was already working and had been working for 90 years and chuck its charming soul into a wood chipper? Something was going on here. Did Charlie Yates have a stroke? Had a chatbot secretly rewritten the real script as a gag? Was Charlie Yates being held hostage somewhere and forced at gunpoint to write a career-endingly bad story? But career-endingly bad didn't even capture it. This thing was apocalyptic, and there it was. Somehow, that was the tipping point for me. Real life was allowed to be disappointing. Heck, real life was guaranteed to be disappointing. But stories had a better option. I was not letting Charlie Yates ruin this movie, his career, the romantic comedy genre as a whole, and all our lives with this nuclear waste-fueled dumpster fire of a screenplay. That was where I drew the line. It's just funny. It's just really funny and easy to read.
And now I stand here calling at your door. Oh, now I stand here calling at your door. Yeah, I'm yours. Anywhere you want. Yeah, I'm yours. And now we're singing.
The next morning, and I am coming back from the bank, and I have an insane day today, so I figured I would take this opportunity to capitalize on the 10 minutes or so that I'll be in the car to tell you guys a little bit about my thoughts. I have about 10 hours left on our timer, and I'm about 50% of the way through the rom-commers right now, and I'm conflicted on it thus far because I like Catherine Center's writing. She's an excellent author. But I'm struggling to connect with this book. Like I said before, I read The Bodyguard and I read Hello Stranger, and I both really liked those. This one I'm struggling with just a little bit because I don't like the male main character. I don't like him. And it's not, they had this moment when, they first met, where he came across as like a little egocentric and a little, he was a little cocky, but they got over that pretty quickly. And now they've been like working together and they've fallen into like this nice rhythm, right? The problem that I have with him is how he speaks about Emma, our main female character, when he thinks she can't hear him. He's rude. He's rude. And the first time it happened and she confronted him and was like, hey, I heard you, like what you said was not nice, he apologized and he was going to do better and all this. And she gave him the benefit of the doubt and she let him, right? And he did. While they're together, he's fine. The millisecond, Emma steps out of the room and he gets in front of somebody else, he reverts right back to his old self. And he's back to like disparaging her and saying very dismissive, like very rude, mean, disrespectful things about her to everybody else. And it's like by the second, third, and fourth time, honey, you're just a doormat. Like, he's not doing what he told you he was gonna do. He's disrespectful and he's rude, and you're just like taking it, and you're just believing him every time. Like, at what point does Emma say, no, you're just an asshole, like, you're just rude, and I'm falling for this lie of like, I'm gonna do better and I want to learn and I want to get along with you? Like, he clearly doesn't, sweetie. He clearly doesn't. And it's one of those situations where I don't care for him. Like, I don't like him. I think he's cocky and he's rude and he's arrogant and he's a liar at this point to me too. So it's hard for me to root for them as a couple, or for them to like even get along on like a working level, when I just don't care for him. And the other thing that this book is doing, that I've actually spoken about other books and like other videos, and it's probably just a personal struggle. I don't care for when we're supposed to be like rooting for a couple or rooting for two people who are still very much tied up in like old relationships, either one of them or both of them. And this book is doing that, where I have a problem getting behind a relationship, a new relationship, when there are still like multiple references to an ex. Like, when multiple conversations now have happened about, oh, my ex this, my ex that, when the ex is stopping by. I don't like when exes are still very much entrenched in the person or both of their lives, or when they think about them constantly, or when they talk about them constantly, but we're supposed to be like over here rooting for this new relationship, or like getting flirty banter, and then we're still stuck in the past with this ex. It's probably just a personal thing. I don't like it. Like, I think like close the door before you open up another one. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, this book is doing that, where we still have a lot of conversations and theming around this ex-wife. And I think the direction the book is going is that we're supposed to be rooting for Charlie and Emma. And I'm just kind of like, Charlie still talks about his ex-wife every day. Charlie's ex-wife still drops by. Like, I don't like it. So I think that's something I'm struggling with. I'm not connecting with their relationship. It's okay. I'm 50% of the way through, like I said, but these are like my least favorite main female and main characters of the books that I've read by Catherine Center. I'm just struggling. I'm struggling a little bit, but I do like it. Her writing's great. And I have a baseball doubleheader with my son today, about 45 minutes away from our home one way. So from about 12:30 until probably about 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night, I'm going to be out baseball momming at the baseball field. So you would think that with over 6 hours of baseball today that I would have time to be reading, but I don't, because all the parents talk. You have to watch the games, you know, you get entrenched in the games, you get entrenched with chatting, stuff like that. And you know, the kids are hungry, the kids need their water bottles filled, the kids need this. So I don't predict that I'm going to be able to sit and actually get a ton of reading done today, but I could be wrong. We shall see. So 10 hours left on the clock. Let's hope that the last 50% of the book like turns this around and I start like connecting a little bit more to these characters and this story, because so far, just not my cup of tea, I don't think. Another day, Another book down. I officially finished The Rom-Commers yesterday with 7 hours and 8 minutes spent on the clock. I can't for the life of me remember how much time was on the clock when I started this, but I'll post it all right here, like how long this took me to finish and my words or page per minute or whatever count that I do. But I have 7 hours left on the clock. And I first want to talk to you guys a little bit about my thoughts on The Rom-Commers, because this has been my least favorite Catherine Center book so far, so we should probably go over why. So in the interest of like research and knowing and reminding myself and refreshing my memory what I thought about the other Catherine Center books I've read, here is my list of Catherine Center books and my ratings on Goodreads. So I read The Bodyguard first, I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Hello Stranger, gave it 4 stars. And then The Rom-Commers, I'm giving 3 stars. So it's still decent, it's still above average, and I still love Catherine Center's writing style, but there's a few things that I want to like touch base on about this particular book. Okay, so specifically thinking about The Rom-Commers, this book, unfortunately, I feel like it took me forever to finish. And it's just honestly because I don't care. Throughout this entire 317-page book, I just struggled so deeply to connect with these characters, mostly because there was just so much back and forth between them, and it made it not feel authentic, and it made the relationship not feel genuine. And then for me, what started happening, because I was so kind of cognizant of this back and forth between them, when they did all of a sudden start like falling for each other, it seemed very abrupt, and I just wasn't buying it. Like one day they would be fighting, they'd be arguing, they'd hate each other, they'd be offended and insulted by each other, and then literally that night he would come home and she'd talk about how she missed him all day and she was in love with him. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, right? Married since I was 21, together for 1,000 years, okay? I'm not saying that we don't vacillate back and forth sometimes between hate and love. It happens, especially when you've been together for a long time, but this was day like 3. And it was happening too often. If you're spending 90% of the time hating each other, then maybe you don't love each other, you know? So I just had a problem. It seemed like there were like these 180 spins between hate and love in like very quick amounts of time. And I just struggled to buy it. And then on top of that, like, quick question, how many times can a woman be brutally rejected by a man before she just kind of takes a hint and says, hey, maybe he's actually telling the truth and he's just not that into me? How many times can this female main character be blatantly insulted and embarrassed and just like put in these cringeworthy rejection situations? As the reader, I'm sitting there being like, yikes, girl, yikes. Like, he's just not that into you. And she just holds on and goes back for more. And I just don't find that believable. And if that is believable, like, girl, stop it. Like, love yourself, get out, you know? I guess what I'm saying is, there's persistence and then there's just silliness. And this female character didn't come across as persistent and like going for the goal to me. She came across as silly and unable to take a very basic social cue and like a hint that he's rejecting you brutally over and over again, sometimes in front of a crowd of people. And you just keep diving back in the pool, baby. Just don't swim today. So because of that, like, I just don't care. I don't care about the characters. I actually found them kind of irritating. The plot was pretty inconsequential to me. Just kind of like flat, I guess is what I'm saying. And that was probably because I'm a character-driven reader and I wasn't connecting with the characters, so the plot was flat. I felt embarrassment for our female main character. So when the romance progressed, I actually wasn't really like on board with it. Like if I were her bestie, I wouldn't be encouraging her to continue pursuing this man. I just wouldn't be. So then what happens is I'm just kind of reading to read, like reading to get through the pages and to get through the chapters without a ton of emotional investment. And that's not my favorite way to read, especially not in a romance or a rom-com. It's just, when I'm reading a romance, I want to feel that emotional connection. If I'm reading like an epic high fantasy, I guess I could kind of like tune my emotions out a little bit and just go with like the political or war strategy. But when I'm in a romance, I want to feel the emotion, the romance, you know what I'm saying? And I just didn't ever really get that here. I was just reading to read the words. It was very methodic, I guess is what I'm saying, and not really like immersive. The relationship just never felt real for me. And while I feel like it sounds like I'm being negative, or while maybe I am being negative, it wasn't all bad. The ending actually slightly redeemed itself for me. It pulled together and tied up some ends, and I saw a little bit of a redemption arc in the main male character who I wasn't really loving the entire time towards the end of the book. So there was a bit of an upswing at the end. And if for the positive points, I still love Catherine Center's writing. Very unpretentious, very easy to understand, not forceful, not like forced down your throat. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no overuse of language. It's very simple, easy writing. The banter at places in this book was very good because it was that hate banter, right? Like, they were constantly sniping at each other, and they were two very intelligent characters. So the banter and the sniping was very intelligent and well written. And because I've read The Bodyguard and Hello Stranger, and I'm familiar with and I've been immersed into Catherine Center's writing style, this delivered on that. This is a quintessentially very Catherine Center book. If you had given this to me just as a blank book, no cover, no title, no author, I would have guessed that Catherine Center wrote this book because her writing style is very discernible, and I did love that. So it wasn't all negative. And like I said, I didn't DNF it. Like, throughout the entire book, I still pulled to see what happened, and I think I was looking for that redemption arc in the end, and it did deliver on that for me personally. So this was a 3.5 star. I just wish that it didn't take 285 out of 317 pages to get to that upswing. If it had happened earlier, I think I would have rated it higher. But with all that being said, let's go again with the sentiment that I feel like I have to remind everybody about when it comes to my particular personal rating style. I have to remind everybody every couple of videos, right? Because I think we've gotten to the point as readers where if you hear anything under 4 stars, you're like, she didn't like it. False. Not correct. I liked this book. 2.5 stars is a perfectly fine, completely average, middle of the road, nothing blew my mind, but nothing was bad book. This was a 3.5. This was above average. I did still like this, and a 3.5 star rating is not a bad book to me. If there was a sequel to this, I would read it. Catherine Center to this point has done standalones, at least in the series that I've read. So there hasn't been sequels, but my point remains that if there was one, I would pick it up. So thank you so much once again to Amanda for sending this to me. She knows how appreciative of I am and how much I love her, and I love her support, and I can't wait for our projects that we have coming up. So there's a little sneaky peeky behind the scenes for you. We have some stuff coming up. And now, with 7 hours and 8 minutes left on the clock, where do I go? Where do I go from here? How blessed am I that I'm like, which book do I pick? Because I am sent so many books by you guys because you're amazing and we love book exchanging that I couldn't possibly read them all in one video, which is amazing. How blessed am I? So now I have to go and look at my subscriber stack and figure out where we're going from here. So hold please, because I think I kind of know where I want to go. I just searched my shelves and I do know where I want to go. So after the 2 books I've read, I still I don't know what has been going on with me, but Spicy Brain, which I've talked about in the last couple of videos, has still not left. All I'm craving is like spicy, smutty books. And here's the thing that's scary. Typically when I get like this, it's either when I am trying to claw my way out of a slump that spicy, smutty books are the only thing that's kind of like holding my attention, or if I fight the urge to read what I want to read, I'm like pushing myself towards a slump, and I don't want to do that. So if my brain is calling for smut, smut is what I'm going to give it. You know what I'm saying? And I am so lucky that none other than the gorgeous, beautiful Robin, who also has a channel of her own, I'm going to post it here and she'll be linked down below. She does the cutest content with her 2 adorable children, and I love her stuff. So if you want to go and watch her videos, please do. She's so generous and so sweet and so supportive. So go and give Robin a follow, watch some of her videos, tell her that Lindsay sent you and that her kids are adorable. Robin knows me so well and knows Spicy Brain is often upon us and knows my love for the fabulous Ice Planet Barbarian series by Ruby Dixon, not for its literary masterpiece, but for its escapism and for its pure entertainment value. So when Robin, who knows me so well, saw Ruby Dixon coming out with I don't know if it's necessarily a new series or if it's republished, no idea. If I do decide to do the research and don't forget, I'll put it right here. But when she saw that Ruby Dixon from IPB was doing a new series, tell me she didn't run to my list and send it to me immediately. How sweet. I love Ruby Dixon and I love her escapism. So this is Bull Moon Rising. This is Ruby Dixon's newly published book. I don't know if it's brand new. I'm pretty sure it is because there's a second one that I think is called like, I don't even remember. I'll post it right here. There's a second one, something Horn, I think, coming out soon. But she sent me the first edition hardcover. Look at the edges. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. And I love the colors, and there's gorgeous character art on the inside. Look at how beautiful that is. This gorgeous character art and this beautiful naked hardcover. I almost feel like this could go up on my special edition shelf, and it honestly might go there when I'm done. But she sent this gorgeous edition to me, and it is a Minotaur monster romance. And if you know Miss Dixon, you know that her ability to write spice and smut is like incomparable. So I'm assuming that this is going to be a spicy, smutty Minotaur romance book. And that's where my brain's at. I don't know what that says about me, but that's where my brain's at. So in this video, we have read a basilisk monster smut and now a Minotaur monster smut. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So I always keep the note with the book. So I just got to find which page I stuck it in. So Robin's note says, so nice. You are so loved. I hope you feel that today and every day. Happy Valentine's Day from Robin. So Robin sent this to me as a Valentine's Day gift. How sweet is that? And I'm like, to have somebody tell you that you're loved, it makes me feel warm all over. And Robin, you are loved as well. And everyone watching, you are loved. Okay. Happy late belated Valentine's Day to everybody. It's April, but happy belated Valentine's Day to everybody. And you are loved. And Robin, thank you so much for reminding me that I'm loved. Everyone needs to hear that every once in a while. So I am so excited to go and pick up Bull Moon Rising. I need Ruby Dixon right now.
I won't get close to your heartache if you won't open your door. I'm feeling kinda lost when your mind is hiding whatever that is choking your chest. I can see it in your eyes that you're shaking 'cause you're...
Quick check-in. I am officially like 90 pages into Bull Moon Rising, and I think I'm at a point where I can talk a little bit about what I've gathered so far. So this is a bit more complicated, admittedly, than Ruby Dixon's Ice Planet Barbarian series. That you're kind of just thrown in. There's really not much, I mean, there's a plot, but not much plot. You know what I'm saying? I guess I'm not explaining that well because there is plot to Ice Planet Barbarians, but it's not like the lead focus. The lead focus is the relationships and the romances with the aliens. You know what I'm saying? This book so far seems to have a bit more plot and actual world development, and I'm liking it. It's just not exactly what I expected from Ruby Dixon, and that's ignorant of me because Ice Planet Barbarians isn't even Ruby's only works. She has quite a few series, so I'm just going into it with an Ice Planet Barbarians lens, and this isn't that, and I'm actually enjoying it. I just wasn't expecting it. So far what I've gathered is that at one point this world was ruled over by gods, and the gods had this city called Prell. Well, there was a great war between beings and the gods fell. The city fell. And either the gods were killed or they chose to leave. Well, when that happened, all of their magic was buried underneath what was built up to be the new city. So the city fell and they built a new city over it. Well, once the gods were all gone, the magic was gone. So there was no more magic in this world. The only magic that was left was being held by these magic imbued artifacts that had fallen with the city of Prell, which is now located under the new city. So since then, there was another war between the different, like the Minotaurs, the humans, the Slither skins, there's all sorts of different creatures in the world. There was a war between them called the Mancer War, and their world was divided up into the capital city and then all the surrounding towns that are now ruled over by what's called a hold. So picture the old kind of like Game of Thrones where there's like Red City, the capital city, but then all the little like territories around it, or within its power, they have a different noble person that runs them, right? So in Game of Thrones, you had like Red City, and then you had Winter Stark, where the Stark family ruled over it. And then you have a different area that the Targaryens ruled. And you know what I'm saying? Like there's different areas with different noble people, but then there's a capital city. I'm probably doing a horrible job describing this, but if you read the book, it makes a lot more sense. And in this capital city, there's an artifacts guild with people who specialize in going in tunnels underneath the city or digging up fields to find these artifacts that are imbued with magic. And they bring them back to their territory's noble person, to their hold. And basically, the more power the territory has and the more magic the territory has is controlled by how many artifacts the hold currently has. So for example, someone would go out and go dig up into a field and find, you know, a cup that has the magic of constantly being full. And then they would bring it back to their territory, give it to the noble person, their hold, and that goes into like their storage basically. And now their territory has one more magical artifact imbued with magical powers. And there's a hierarchy to the artifacts based on how strong or useful the magic is. So like a cup that's constantly filled would probably be like middle grade. But then you can find other artifacts that have like defensive spells that makes like a wall. It builds a wall that's never breakable, which you would obviously put around your castle. You know what I'm saying? So like there's different levels of magic and different levels of artifacts you can find. So like I said, how powerful your territory is based on how many magical artifacts you have and how many powerful magical artifacts you have. Well, that brings us to our main female character, Aspeth, who is the daughter of the Honorai. That's how I'm pronouncing it. Honorai, the Honorai hold. And her father, who is the ruler, the leader of the Honorai territory, has a gambling problem and has been slowly gambling away their magical artifacts, but their people don't know that. So now Aspeth is put in a position where her territory has essentially no useful magical artifacts left, but the people don't know. And the fear she has is that if they find out, or if another territory finds out, they will be overthrown. Her family will be overthrown and their territory will be either dismantled or taken over by another territory. So Aspeth decides that the way to handle this is to go to the capital city and train with a group that teaches you the best, most efficient ways to find these magical artifacts, but also the group is the only one in the capital city that has access to these tunnels underneath the city where Prel fell that finds the strongest magical artifacts. However, she can't very well tell them who she actually is because that will be letting these noble people in the capital city know that an Honorai is there trying to find magical artifacts. Like, why would she have to be there? So that would reveal the weakness that is. She clearly needs magical artifacts. Where did all of theirs go? And it would reveal a weakness for her territory and for her family. So she gets to the capital city and she's trying to join this artifact finding guild. And it's so funny because she brings along with her her like handmaiden from her territory who's also her best friend. And the girl is pretty snarky and she keeps calling them grave robbers, which makes me laugh really hard because that's kind of what it is. They're basically robbing the graves of the old gods to take their magical artifacts from their graves. Anyways, she gets there and it turns out that this guild does not often see women. It's not that it's unheard of. There is one famous guild member who was a woman, but besides for that, I think that lady was essentially like the only female successful artifact finder, artificer, I think they're called. So she is experiencing a ton of misogyny right now, a ton of men who just don't believe that she could do this job, don't believe that she belongs there, etc., etc. And one of the ways they make it difficult for a woman to join this guild is by requiring a chaperone to sign for you that like gives you permission to join this guild. And I'm understanding that only women need this chaperone. Long story short, she is sorted into this very weak guild that everyone kind of makes fun of and no one really has any hope for, and enlists her Taurian or Minotaur guild leader to sign for her as her chaperone. And the way that she convinces him to do this is by offering him a symbiotic little agreement. they do have this kind of like back and forth where he finds her incredibly agitating and she finds him cocky and unapproachable and rude. So I just 90 pages in got to the part where the training is going to start. So I think what they just did was they filled their backpacks with rocks and they like made them run up and down this hill a bunch of times. And when she was like, I don't understand how this trains me to find artifacts, he goes, oh yeah, well, how do you think it's going to be getting in and out of these tunnels? You think it's just going to be easy? No, it requires stamina. So we're just getting into that element where he is taking on a position of leader and they're doing these exercises to train them. I'm liking it so far. 90 pages in, I finally think I'm kind of sort of getting a hold on the story, even though I don't think that explanation really shows you that I understand this story much, but I really do. And Ruby Dixon's writing is so simple. She's really good at explaining to you what's going on. And more has happened, but I don't want to give away spoilers. So that's the not so brief synopsis of what's going on. I'm going to sit here and continue reading for another couple of hours. I have 5 hours and 9 minutes left on the clock. I'm not going to finish this in 5 hours. I think it says I have like 7 hours left. So I'm actually going to probably most likely read a little bit over this time because I want to finish this book for this video. So let's make some more progress.
Maybe you'll make up your mind now. I'm here by your side. So let it all out of me. Let it all out of me. Oh, I will hold you in the dark, make you forget about what's wrong. Let it all out of me.
I did officially finish my reading for this video last night, but when I tell you that I was so tired, my eyes were physically throbbing. Yeah, that was me last night. I looked at my husband at like 9:30 and I go, I think I'm just gonna go lie down for a little bit. And my kids automatically were like, see you in the morning. I went to bed so early. I ended up not falling like right asleep. I watched some TV. I watched some news in my room and just like decompressed for a little while. I also worked on a book we'll talk about in our wrap up. I did make a little bit of progress. I did sit and read because I'm incapable of just sitting and like vegging. I have to be reading or playing my silly game on my phone or doing something. I have a serious, it's like a restless syndrome where I can't just sit and just like veg. I can't do it. I have to be physically doing something that stimulates my brain. And for some reason, 95% of like TV or series or movies don't stimulate my brain enough. And then I get restless and I feel like I need to stand up and do something. Is anybody else like that? Because I'm like that. It's the inability to like sit still. Separate story, has nothing to do with this, just thoughts of the morning, you know? But what I do want to talk about is the fact that I did last night finish Bull Moon Rising by Ruby Dixon, and I am giving this 4 stars, which is like pretty much in line with IPB or Ice Planet Barbarians. However, I have such interesting thoughts on this book because Ruby gave us something that I wasn't quite expecting, and that might be my own fault because this isn't Ice Planet Barbarians, but that series is the only other experience I have with Ms. Dixon. So I can't compare everything to it because she is actually like, I'm sorry, I don't care what you say. It might not be the genre for you. It might not be the tropes for you. It might not be like the microcosm for you. However, she is a talented writer and she's very easy to read. And I will die on that hill. I've said this before. So she's a very talented writer. And it was my own fault to go into this expecting Ruby only to be a one-note author. Like, I think I made the misconception that this was going to give me Ice Planet Barbarian vibes, and in some way it did, but in some way it didn't, because I really feel like she stretched her author legs on this one. And by that, I mean, Ice Planet Barbarian is really entertaining to read, and if you're a monster smut lover like I am, it gives you, like, it scratches all your monster smut itches, you know what I'm saying? But it is, in my opinion, kind of a one-note monster smut. Sorry if you can hear my kids upstairs. They are home. It is Sunday. So they are home and they're just being kids. They're not doing anything bad. They're just being kids. And they're kind of loud, you know? We do not control them. We merely contain them. Anyways, so it is just kind of one note monster smut. This one, I think I went into it expecting the same Ruby Dixon one note monster smut. And this gives more than that. And what I mean is this has world building in it, which is crazy. I wasn't expecting that. And that was my own misconception that was obviously incorrect. Because Ruby actually creates a world in this, and she actually has characters with backstories and that you actually care about. Like, she creates family units in this and politic building in this. And I think I really sold her short by not expecting that in my own brain. And I did it obviously subconsciously. I didn't mean to, but this was a lot more than Ice Planet Barbarians, which was great. But at the same time, if you're entering into this series in the mindset that I was, where you weren't expecting that or necessarily maybe even like looking for that, I could understand how some of it would seem a bit like slow. So don't go into this if basically, here's what I'm going to say. If you are looking solely for monster smut, read IPB. If you are looking for a little bit more of like a fantasy world with monster smut in, read Bull Moon Rising. I really liked this. The next book is called By the Horns, and I can't wait because I will be picking it up and reading. I kind of am like sitting here now thinking about this book. I like closed a book at knee-jerk reaction, gave it a 4 stars, but was it a 4.25? It might have been a 4.25. If you see that change on my Goodreads at some point, like, don't be surprised. It might be a 4.25. I might bump it up a little bit because I think my knee-jerk rating was closing it and just being like, okay, not what I expected. But at the same time, you shouldn't expect one note from an author all the time. I think this might be a good introductory to monster smut. If you're a fantasy reader who has some experience in politic building, world building, stuff like that. And with that, let's do a quick recap of what I read in the last, I always say week, but really that's like 10, 11 days. So the first book I started the week or 10 days off with was Kiss the Basilisk, which was a generous gift from the wonderful Cheyenne, and I gave this 4.25 stars. Now, coming off of what I was just saying about Bull Moon Rising, about how that might be like a good place if you're like an introductory monster smut reader, this is the opposite. If you are an introductory monster smut reader, do not, I repeat, do not, like alert, 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 do not pick this up. This will be way too much for you. I mean, unless you're somebody who likes to jump in feet first into the deep end, you know what I'm saying? Like, go for it. This is a lot, but man, did I eat it up. And this is another example similar to Bull Moon Rising of a monster smut with a ton of world building and character building, a political system, like high stakes. This was great if you could stomach it, if you know what I'm saying, which I can, and I loved it. Thank you so much again, Cheyenne, for knowing me so well. The second book I picked up was The Rom-Commers. This was a gift from Amanda, from Amanda's Booktopia. Thank you so much, honey. You know how much I adore you, and I can't wait for what we've got coming up at the end of the month. That's a little spoiler. We're going to be doing a little project together, a little video together, but this was a 3-star for me. Of the Catherine Center books I've read, this was my least favorite, but it wasn't because of any issues I had with the writing or any necessarily issues I had with the story. It was mostly that I just didn't connect to the characters. This wasn't my favorite character work that Catherine Center has ever done. I found the female main character pretty insufferable. However, the writing was great. It was quintessentially Catherine Center. I love her stuff. And honestly, if there's an author where I've read 3, 4, 5 books of their books and the lowest I've ever given it is 3 stars, that's a really good author. I then, outside of the theme of this video, but just to give you like a well-rounded view, listened to Dinner for Vampires by Bethany Joy Lenz. This was not a gift from a subscriber, but this was just what kind of worked its way into as my audiobook for the week, something that I could listen to while I was doing chores around the house, and I gave this a 4.25 stars. I really liked it. It satisfied my obsession with like cults and cult culture. There were things I had an issue with in it, but overall, I really liked Bethany Joy Lenz's prose, and if you can listen to the audiobook, do it, because hearing her tell her story is very immersive. So I am like 52% of the way through The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This is our Homey and Homely book club pick for April, and I am really liking this. I'm obviously 52% of the way through, so I'm not gonna like give you my final thoughts, but this is giving me a mashup of Daisy Jones and the Sixth and Magnolia Parks if one of those characters was an Olympic athlete. You know, like if you took one of the Magnolia Parks characters, made them an Olympic athlete, and then wrote it in the style of Taylor Jenkins Reid, Daisy Jones and the Sixth, that is this book. And that's a super complicated description, but it's very accurate if you've read it. Comment below if you agree. And last but not least, Bull Moon Rising, our gift from the fantastic Robin. Thank you so much. You guys just know my tastes so well because I gave this a 4-star, and honestly, I'm toying with like bringing it up to a 4.25 because I think it might be a 4.25. I just gave you a long synopsis. I'm not going to talk too much about this, but it's a gorgeous edition. It's a great book. Ruby Dixon is honestly one of my favorite palette cleanser authors. So there you go, guys. This week, I spent the week just being so grateful for all of you and for everyone who has done our book exchange. If you do want to participate, I'm going to hope to make this a series. There's going to be at least a couple more videos because I have so many more people and books and gifts that I want to highlight. So this will be possibly like a monthly series. But if you do want to participate, my Amazon wish list is always linked in the description down below. And I give it the caveat, this is not me saying, go and buy me books. If you buy me a book outside of a birthday present, because if I send you a birthday present, there's nothing expected back. You know what I'm saying? But if you go and send me a book, send me a message with who you are, your name, what your tag is on Instagram or YouTube, and I will feature you in the series at some point in the future. But for this week, I think we had 3 bangers. You know what I'm saying? I think that was a pretty successful week. So in the last like 10 days, I have read 4.5 books. That's not horrible. That's not horrible. I hope I have another really successful 7 to 10 days. So if you have made it this whole way, go ahead and comment the snake emoji for Kiss of the Basilisk, which was an experience. And if you have read it, you know the snake. You may not ever be the same after that book. I might not ever look at this emoji the same way, but comment the snake emoji if you have made it this whole way, and then do the things that you're so professional at doing, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.